Welcome to our audio commentary coverage. This broadcast is not an official product of this competition.
James Justin will come across to this near left-hand side. First corner of the game goes in favour of Leeds United. Plenty of bodies packed into that 6-yard box here as Justin floats it in towards the back post, nodded down by Roden. And Sangare eventually just about manages to tow that away. But it will be kept in play over on the far side for Leeds. Back here now with James Justin. Bogle will take over. Built up quite a consistent partnership down that Leeds right-hand side. Jayden Bogle rather, and James Justin able to rotate between right wing back and right centre back. Both players able to play either role. Gives Farke that extra bit of flexibility as he tries to change systems mid-game. Here's Ampadu on the half turn inside the centre circle, spins it over to this near left hand side. Goodmanson once more with space to get over the halfway line. More cover detail to get across and just lend a hand to Zach Abbott in these opening stages. Dominguez and Elliot Anderson quick to get across there and prevent Goodmanson from advancing too much further. Been all Leeds so far though. Another long ball into that left channel. Calvert-Lewin will go after it this time and tracked by Niko Milenkovic. Anderson up against Goodmanson, and Goodmanson again has done well to the byline once more. Another cross deflected behind for another Leeds United corner. And it is Abbott this time who gets back in position, and he's done very, very well there, the young man. Goodmanson has carried all the threat for Leeds United so far. Too strong for Elliot Anderson. And Abbott just sticks out a foot here on the near post, and it spins fractionally over the top of Stefan Ortega's crossbar, and that could have been a nightmare for the teenager. I don't think Ortega would have been able to tip it over if it had been dropping under. Floated into the near post this time, headed away by Milenkovic. Aronson just knocked that back towards the edge of Forest penalty area. Eventually Igor Jesus will lead the charge over the halfway line. 5 minutes gone. If you are just a little late joining us, no goals so far as the rain continues to lash down here. Leeds United 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Sean Dyche in full voice on the sidelines. No shorts tonight for Dyche. He's opted for the full tracksuit. That is a measure of just how bad the weather is. Leeds now with space to attack over on that far right hand side. Bogle will try and float it across. Goodmanson just caught under it there, but he will retrieve it here on the near left hand touchline. Forest just managing to buff it Leeds away momentarily here as Goodmanson rolls that into the channel for Okafor. Okafor's claiming that he won the corner there. The referee disagreeing with the Switzerland international. Final touch comes off him. Forest just managed to ease the pressure ever so slightly here. Dyche out there quickly, just with a quick instruction to Igor Jesus. He wants the Brazilian to be stronger in holding those balls up. Get a chance here from the long goal kick, lofted forward by Ortega, helped on by Jesus, but Gibbs White is beaten to the loose ball. Anderson does well there just to win a tussle inside the centre circle. Nice change of pace here. He's got Gibbs White through the right hand channel if he can find him. First time into the box. Jesus there just blocked off by Joe Roden. Nico Dominguez over on that far side, not able to keep it in, so it will be a Leeds throw-in. First little foray forward for Forest. Gibbs White here just tries to angle that one into Igor Jesus, 8 yards out. Joe Rodon back on duty though. Firmly deals with it for Leeds United. Ibrahim Sangari there just tangling with Brendan Aronson over on the right hand side for Leeds, just inside their own half of the field. Free kick in favour of the home side. And we have been told before kick-off that the conditions will be consistently monitored throughout here. Generally takes something pretty severe in terms of weather mid-game in the Premier League to cause a suspension or an abandonment. Doesn't seem to be any immediate threat, but there is plenty of rain forecast between here and full-time this evening. Okafor does well this time to wriggle away down the left-hand side, away from Dominguez, across the face, and turn behind for a corner. And that was a real moment of danger. And again, it's down this left-hand side. Okafor this time just too quick to get away from Dominguez. It's Jayden Bogle charging in there over on that far side. Just prodded behind by Ola Aina. Corner number 3 for Leeds, headed away at that front post again. Worked back to Bogle here, who's the last man back for Leeds. Almost a moment of concern there as Ampadu turned into trouble. Clearances helped away downfield. Nice touch forward there from Dominguez. Gibbs White is on his own momentarily. Gets support from Hudson-Odoi now down the left-hand side. Hudson-Odoi with the drive. And straight at Carl Darlow. It's the first effort on target of the night. 9 minutes gone. Hudson-Odoi takes that on early over on the far left-hand channel, just inside the penalty area. Keeps it down, but no real cause for concern for the former Newcastle man, Carl Darlow. Has, of course, been preferred to Lucas Perry in recent weeks as first choice for Daniel Farke. Perry is on the bench tonight alongside a couple of other returnees, Bijol, James and Nemecha, who were all rated as doubtful coming into this game. Floated ball from the left-hand side. Falls here for Gibbs White. Knocked down to Dominguez. Blocked inside the box. And a curler turned round the post. And that's a superb bit of goalkeeping from Carl Darlow. And Forest, who've barely been in the game in the opening 10 minutes. Lovely lofted ball to the far post by Hudson-Odoi. Gibbs White knocks it down. And he just falls here for Dominguez. 10 yards out. Left-footed, trying to curl it into that far post away from Carl Darlow. And he sticks out a big hand just to pour that round the post. And the best two opportunities of the game, despite Leeds bossing possession, have both fallen to Forest. And Carl Darlow's kept his side in it. The really sharp reactions there. Corner taken by Anderson. Swirled in towards the far post. Jesus does really well there to knock that back into the Leeds penalty area. Flicked away eventually by Gruev. Hudson-Odoi will go back to Anderson. Attack James Justin here. Wins himself another corner, Elliot Anderson. Forest slowly but surely starting to drag themselves into this game. It's taken a while to get going. Anderson again, back post. And there's no one there this time to keep that and play. And just bounce behind for a Leeds United goal kick. Here come Leeds with space to stream forward down the left-hand side. Given away on halfway, though, by Goodmanson. Gibbs White will feed Igor Jesus in the channel. Rodon gets across. Another corner. 3 each now. And sloppy from Goodmanson there. Just tries to drop the shoulder here to get away from Nico Dominguez caught in possession. And Igor Jesus will run those channels all night for Forest. Big booming applause from his manager as well. Anderson will come across to this near right-hand side this time for his third corner of the game. Swept in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed down by Jesus, but straight at Darlow. Again, the Leeds goalkeeper called into action. Routine stuff in the end for the number 26 in between the posts for the home side, but Forest are starting to knock on that Leeds United door. Here's Ampadu over the halfway line. Sloppy ball round the corner there from Noah Okafor. Himself and Gudmundsson not quite on the same wavelength. Cleared away eventually by Nottingham Forest. Is just it. Squares that across the halfway line for Roden. Gruev. Forest, of course, did win the reverse fixture back in November. 3-1 win at the City Ground. It was a home win apiece for these two teams last season. Nottingham Forest don't have a great record up here at Elland Road, though. Not won on the road in West Yorkshire since 2016, so it's certainly going to be a tough task for Dyche to get something tonight, but plenty of positivity after a shaky start. Gruev is pulled down there in the left-back position by Nico Dominguez. Foul whistle by Peter Banks. Another long ball lofted forward. Calvert-Lewin will give chase and he'll go with Milenkovic here. Trying to slide in and win a corner there, Calvert-Lewin. No dice against the Serbian though. Renewal of acquaintances, of course, for Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Sean Dyche. 2 years together at Everton before both of their departures. Calvert-Lewin, of course, decided to move on as a free agent last summer. And one of the most eye-catching stats that I have dug up as part of my pre-match preparations, 9 Premier League goals for Leeds United so far this season. He only scored 9 in total during Sean Dyche's tenure at Goodison Park. He hasn't scored 10 or more in the Premier League since the days of Carlo Ancelotti back in 2020-21. Looping cross on the left-hand side by Calvert-Lewin, but the up and under is claimed eventually by Carl Darlow. Fitness has always been such a crucial part of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's game. If he's fit and at his best, firing in front of goal, he is a real threat. Leeds fans have seen plenty of that so far this season, but imagine he will need a few more goals just to ensure those relegation nerves don't start to jangle too much. Here's Aronson, does really well there to wrestle away from Sangare. Eventually fouled. Just told to get back to his feet there by the referee, Aronson. Another player who's turning into a bit of a darling for these Leeds fans, their very own American boy. 7 Premier League goal involvements this season, 4 goals and 3 assists. It's his 9th successive Premier League start as well this evening. He's starting to nail down a real regular place alongside Gruev and Ethan Ampadu. Here's Sangare, midway back inside the Forest half of the field. Hudson-Odoi back for Murato. Here's Zach Abbott, who has settled now at right back. Lovely little clip over the head of Gruev there from Sangare to Gibbs-White, but eventually Forest are forced backwards once more. Here's Murato. Just tries to roll that into the halfway line for Gibbs-White, but it will eventually break for him. Ampadu snapping around. And Sangare there over the top for Jesus. And that's an offside flag. Plain as day there. Gives the thumbs up. He knows he went far too early there. Igor Jesus. Not really found his shooting boots in the Premier League so far. The 24-year-old Brazilian signed for Botafogo back in the summer. Just 2 goals in the top flight. The Europa League has been his playground. 6 so far. He's the second highest goal scorer in Europe's second-tier competition this season. Gibbs-White is caught late there, just next to the centre circle. Ampadu there with eyes on the ball, but he does kick Gibbs-White in the back of his hamstring. It's a unfortunate one, but certainly something Peter Banks will keep an eye on. You get the sense that he's taking note of all these small fouls that are starting to accumulate. Here's Milenkovic. Elliot Anderson to take over for Nottingham Forest. Okafor leads the press into the Forest half. Milenkovic will take over. Now Aina. Not seen too much of him over in the rejigged left-back position this evening. And Zach Abbott here forward on the opposite flank. He's trying to wriggle his way past Goodmanson. He's won himself a throw in here. Pushed deep inside Leeds territory, right in front of the corner flag. We're going to see what this young man is like at throw-ins as well. He's given the signal to Sangare that he'll take this one. There's height in there for Forest. Sangare is one of the targets, but it's headed away at the near post by Pascal Strack. Roll back by Abbott for Anderson. Back post, headed past the post. And Igor Jesus, that's his best chance of the night so far. Tested Darlow from a corner just a few minutes ago. He gets away from Bogle and Justin at the far post. Can't quite get the contact that he wanted. And Darlow with a stern word for his defenders there. Neither Justin nor Bogle took responsibility for that one. It's only that Igor Jesus just ducks his head at the wrong moment. And that possibly doesn't end up in the back of the Leeds United net. And the foul there just outside the Leeds penalty area. Sangare on Aronson, I think, and referee with another quiet word for a couple of players. Murato, lovely raking ball down that left hand side. Now this is threat for Nottingham Forest. Hudson-Odoi will keep it alive. The offside flag was a late one. That was clear cut as the Igor Jesus decision just a few minutes ago. Hudson-Odoi had the pace to get away there from Justin. Correct call in the end though by the assistant referee on this near side, Eddie Smart. Darlow to Strack. Now Ilai Gruev back on the edge of his own penalty. Short on options there, but eventually can just swerve it out here to Goodmanson, who's forced backwards by Abbott. And Leeds, from an attacking sense, of quieting down following a really strong first 10 minutes. Here's Okafor, lovely turn on halfway to get past Elliot Anderson has support once more from Goodmanson, but Abbott gets across. And that'll be another corner. That was the threat for Leeds early on. Abbott recovers really well there, but that was a lovely bit of skill from Noah Okafor. And saw the opportunity to spin and drive. Good covering though from Abbott to get back in and thwart Goodmanson. James Justin to come across and take this one down this near left-hand side. Quarter of the game gone here at Elland Road. That's headed straight back to James Justin. He'll go once more. Lovely ball into the back post, off the bar. What a chance for Leeds United. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, head in hands. He does everything right here. Gets up in between Milenkovic and Ibrahima Sangare. The rebound's eventually just walloped over the top by Okafor. And it's thumped down off the crossbar. Nothing Stefan Ortega could do about that one. And that is exactly the type of situation that Dominic Calvert-Lewin craves. Crosses into the box. Timed his jump perfectly. Does everything right there. An inch or two lower and the net bulges and Elland Road erupts. Calvert-Lewin with a rueful shake of the head as we restart. He knows that was close, and my word it was. Great recycled ball back in as well from James Justin. But we stay 0-0 here on Flashcourt. Leeds 0, Nottingham Forest 0. As you mentioned before kickoff, it could not be tighter between the two teams. 27 points each now based on one gained from this game. Both on minus 11 goal difference. Leeds have scored 42 compared to Forest's 35. And that's the dividing line at the moment. Ampadu not happy there that Ola Einer's throw-in that was a bit of a disaster was allowed to be retaken. The referee giving him the benefit of the doubt because of the rain. Ball just slips from his hands and he's given a second shot. Ampadu appealing that the letter of the law should have been applied there. Here is the Welshman back inside his own penalty area. Squared across to Pascal Strack. Now Goodmanson tracked in field on halfway by Nico Dominguez. Okafor will lend a hand. Really good pressing that from Nico Dominguez. There is of course plenty of Welsh interest in Leeds these days. Craig Bellamy, the national team boss, is here tonight. Darlow, Roden, Ampadu. Daniel James on the bench as well. Ball over the top here for Leeds, and a chance for Leeds, and a goal! Flag stays down! And lift off at Elland Road. Jayden Bogle just darts in behind. And the Forest players immediately stream over to the referee. And this will be looked at. Bogle just drifts across from the right-hand side and keeps his run going as the Forest back line is static. It's his first Premier League goal of the campaign. It'd be a real shame if it was to be ruled out. Gruev just spots the run here, and as Calvert-Lewin pulls Milenkovic towards him. Bogle just keeps on running. There's a check over his shoulder for the offside flag, and for Ola Aina tracking him across the field. And he steers it low beyond Ortega. And the referee certainly indicating that VAR have not said to him that there's a need for a second review, and the goal does stand. And Leeds, 27 minutes gone, have the breakthrough. First Premier League goal of the season for Jayden Bogle. And certainly not a goal source that Leeds fans would have been expecting tonight. He did score 6 in the Championship last season, but yet to fire in the top flight. Until tonight, of course. He's done really well there defensively, straight after the restart to sprint back and win a goal kick for Leeds. Action at both ends for the former Sheffield United man. Great vision as well from Gruev. But as Milenkovic and Morato too preoccupied with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, excuse me, Bogle just watches and watches as that long ball comes over the top and calmly steers it home, and Leeds are in front. And what does that do for the live rankings? Well, Leeds 3 points now ahead of Nottingham Forest and 9 above the drop zone. West Ham United are away at Burnley tomorrow. That's another relegation 6-pointer. Burnley in 19th position. Realistically, they need to get something from that game tomorrow if Scott Parker is to avoid slipping back down into the Championship. But in this relegation battle tonight, it's Leeds who've drawn first blood. Sangare goes hard in there on Aronson. No foul, says the referee. Ampadu rolls it back over the halfway line for Pascal Struijk. Now, Joe Rodon. He's the goal scorer, Jayden Bogle, full of confidence. Aronson with a little shimmy down that right channel, but he's again stopped by Sangare. Gruev will roll away from Nico Dominguez. Okafor has pulled out onto this left-hand touchline, just steps in field away from Abbott. Floated back in. Headed away this time. It was Jayden Bogle, keen again. Just trying to sneak in at that far post. And he's got another chance here, and that's a big save. Turn back across the face of goal, and Okafor scores! And Leeds United, in the space of 3 minutes, have taken command of this massive game at Ellen Road. There's 2 chances in quick succession, but as the loose ball spins for Okafor, he doesn't hang around. His 3rd Premier League goal of the campaign. And it's Justin and Bogle again down that right hand side, linking up Aronson with the layoff. Bogle goes again, denied by Darlow. And falls perfectly here for Noah Okafor. Justin brings the save from Darlow. And Noah Okafor, right place, right time for Leeds. And half an hour gone. This place is absolutely bouncing. And Leeds have given Forest a 1-2. And it's that rip-roaring right side again. Justin and Bogle. Justin this time, the player repelled by Darlow. He could do nothing about Noah Okafor sniffing around, as all good attackers do. Takes his chance. And Leeds now in a very, very strong position. Peter Banks just stepping in there. And Sangare is unhappy with 2 decisions in a row that have gone against him. The Leeds United fans, spirits not dampened one bit by the rain. Torrential here tonight. They know what a win could mean to them in terms of their chances of Premier League survival this season. These are the games, these are the nights in front of your home fans that you need to perform. And Leeds have stepped up. Chances for Nottingham Forest not taken. Calvert-Lewin off the bar. It's not quite been his night so far. Bogle and Okafor, though, put Leeds exactly where they want to be. Jesus battling away in front of the corner flag. Gets the better of Goodmanson. But then Okafor will pick up the spare. Lovely turn there by Aronson. And he's caught again. He's been in the wars tonight, Brendan Aronson. It's Elliot Anderson, I think, this time, who just leaves a late one on him. So fluid taking possession, Brendan Aronson, when it's pinged into him. On the end of some pretty rough stuff so far. Work back over that right hand side for Jayden Bogle. Now Roden takes over. Strauch. Forest have just lost their way either side of those two goals. It's a bit of a head scratcher for Sean Dyche. They have carried a threat, but overall Leeds have just looked a bit sharper, a bit more hungry for it. Still plenty of time to go. Here is Anderson galloping over the halfway line, linking with Morgan Gibbs-White, who just drops off there. Now Hudson-Odoi with it. Chance to run at James Justin. Just checks his progress on the edge of Leeds United's penalty. Now Sangare midway inside the opposition half. Abbott pushed forward from right back, and he's taken out there by Noah Okafor. Play on, says the referee. He tries to make the best of it, but Okafor gets back in position. Now Sangare. And eventually the referee does blow his whistle. He's greeted by warm applause on the Leeds United bench. A strong challenge initially from Okafor on Abbott. And Sangare just pushes the Leeds goal scorer to the floor. With 10 minutes to go here at Elland Road. Bogle and Okafor for the home team. Changed the complexion of what's been a battling night so far. Darlow goes long. It's eventually smuggled away down this right back position for Forest by Abbott and Dominguez. Sean Dyche is already in deep conversations with a couple of his substitutes. It's a opportunity, of course, for some of these players, if it stays as it is, to come on at half-time and try and change the tide of the fixture. Taiwo Wanyi, Daniel Farke, James McAtee as well, all certainly capable of a bit of attacking spark if needed. Throw in for Forest just inside Leeds' half. Tossed down that left hand side by Aina. And then prodded out for another throw in by Pascal Strike. Aina will come forward. Anderson will take control here. He's short on options, so he's back over the halfway line for Milenkovic. Abbott. Now Dominguez just tucked in off that right hand side for Forest. Sangare to Anderson. Morgan Gibbs-White, the Nottingham Forest captain. So often the conductor-in-chief for Sean Dyche. He's found himself shackled quite well by Leeds this evening. And Hudson-Odoi takes a stroll down the left-hand side and wins a throw-in, wins a corner rather, for Forest. So Morato and Milenkovic will both be pulled forward here for this one. everybody in white for Leeds back inside their own box. Calvert-Lewin defending the near post. Okafor on the edge of Cardalo's 18-yard box. Anderson with the delivery. Headed away there by Joe Roden. Aina will work it back out to that left-hand side. Hudson-Odoi to Anderson. Fizzed back in once more. Headed away by Gruev. The arms go up from Leeds there on the edge of the box as Roden claims he was fouled. Play on, says the referee. There's another foul there for Leeds. Anderson dashing back into his own half. Brendan Aronson will just steer it backwards to keep Leeds in possession. Here's Pascal Strauch, knock that one long. Calvert-Lewin goes up. Milenkovic there just gets his body in. Allows it to dribble all the way back for Stefan Ortega. Now here's Hudson-Odoi. Just checks in once more off that left-hand side. Justin slips as he tries to chase him. Anderson will find Abbott. Now Dominguez. Anderson again. Trying to get Forest moving forward in a positive direction. Has done well just to win possession back again. Driving Forest forward into Gibbs-White. Can he get a shot off here? 18 yards out. Fed back for Sangare. Blocked by Igor Jesus, and Sangare again. Both shots there blocked by another Nottingham Forest player. Abbott will just about keep it alive here. Eventually Leeds do just about manage to clear their lines. The tense final 5 minutes of the first half here. Throw in for Forest. Level with the edge of Leeds' penalty area. Zach Abbott will again test himself to see if he can slingshot a throw in right into that 6-yard box. Dealt with by Gudmundsson. Eventually the sting has rather gone out of that for Forest as they have to go all the way back into their own half of the field. Anderson once more, he's full of running. Space to jink forward down this right-hand side. Igor Jesus takes over. It's caught by Okafor. Play on once more, says the referee. Abbott now with a chance to swing across in. It's good shape on that, but it won't reach Milenkovic. Hudson-Odoi will rescue it. Over in front of the corner flag. Fronts up by Justin and floated in. Good defending there between Gudmundsson and Strauch. Just sandwiched Niko Milenkovic. High five between the two Leeds defenders there. Managed that situation really, really well, just to make sure that Milenkovic couldn't get off the ground and send an effort back goalwards to trouble Carl Darlow, but that's given away yet again by Leeds. Strauch's ball up to the halfway line is seized on by Anderson. Can't quite find the feet of Igor Jesus. Breaks down for the men in red. Good challenge on halfway there by Roden, who slips. He needed a helping hand from Ampadu. Tackles are flying in here. The greasy surface doesn't help that. Strauch finds Ampadu again. And Aronson is flung to the floor by Elliot Anderson. I think his theatrics there didn't do him too many favours. There was a bit of contact and neither Anderson nor Peter Banks were too impressed. It's Forest who are finishing the first half as the stronger side here. Gibbs-White will take that on the half turn. Gruev chases after the Forest captain, lines one up. Blocked though by Gruev. Abbott, who's forward here once more down the right hand side, will keep Forest moving. Gibbs-White just tries to ping that one into the penalty area for Igor Jesus. Going to be gathered in by Darlow. He'll drop down and Just try and eat up a few seconds for Leeds. They've got the game and the result in their control here, Daniel Farke's side. You don't need to take any excessive risk before the break. Roden takes over. Forest have just dropped off in their press for a moment and allows Roden to fling one forward over on that far Leeds right-hand side. Dealt with by Aina and Anderson. Sangare there, lovely little turn to get away from two Leeds challenges. He had Ampadu and Aronson hanging out with him there, Sangare, but manages just about to keep possession. Has been very scrappy in the middle third of the field. As Gibbs White tries to charge forward there. The loose ball will fall back to him here, and he'll drive from the edge of the box, deflected and turned behind for a corner by Darlow. Abbott was screaming for it there. No chance Morgan Gibbs White's passing here. He just chases down his own initial pass, and on the edge of the D, he takes a nick off the sliding Pascal Strauch. And Darlow has to readjust there and get two hands on it. Palms it round the post. For Forest, fifth corner of the game. 9 in total between the two sides here. Anderson will come across to take final minute of regular time. Delivery will zip all the way through to be picked up by Brendan Aronson. Needs support here as he just checks in on the halfway line. And Sangare chases after it. I've seen some nerves here from Leeds. They need half-time just to take the pressure off ever so slightly. Give Daniel Farke the chance to reset and possibly make a couple of tweaks. It's been a good performance from them, but more marked out by the fact that they've taken their chances with far more ruthlessness than Nottingham Forest. Andrew Kitchen, the fourth official, just steps out here, and there will be 1 minute of additional time. Sean Dyche there with a cheeky little watch check. He was hoping for more, maybe. The final seconds here. The throw in for Leeds right on the halfway line. Goodmanson steps forward from left back. Dyche is straight over there. He's not happy with how long Goodmanson is taking over this throw-in. Eventually he's just worked in field. Neither manager shying away from the rain. Daniel Farke out, screaming instructions at his team. Sangare puts the boot through that. Back up into the Leeds half of the field. Strauch back to Darlow. Cleared downfield once more. Morato gets there first. And that is a sliding challenge on halfway. Nico Dominguez on Ilya Gruev. Again, that's another one that Peter Banks is happy just to let ride. Aronson is bundled to the floor by Sangare. Won't be time for the free kick as the half-time whistle sounds here at Elland Road. And on a night where the home side needed to stand up and step up in front of their buoyant home support. First Premier League goal of the season for Jayden Bogle got the party started. And the record Noah Okafor has doubled the advantage for Daniel Farke's side. At the break here on Flash Score, it is Leeds United 2, Nottingham Forest 0. We'll be back with all the second half action in just over 15 minutes time. Here on Flash Score as Nottingham Forest get us back underway at Elland Road. No change in the conditions and no change for either side at half-time. Daniel Farke's team leading 2-0 at the interval. First Premier League goal of the season for Jayden Bogle. And then the returning Noah Okafor doubling the lead shortly after. In what has been dubbed as a relegation six-pointer. It is Leeds United with the advantage over Sean Dyche's team. There's still all to play for in the second period, so we can just spin. Gruev, Ampadu, Aronson and Goodmanson, and then Okafor and Calvert-Lewin up top. As for Forest, Stefan Ortega making his debut in goal. Abbott, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina in midfield. Anderson and Sangare. I beg your pardon. Abbott, Milenkovic, Aina and Morato in defence. Anderson and Sangare anchoring the midfield. And then Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White, Dominguez and Igor Jesus. If the scoreline does not change, he won't hesitate to dip into his resources. Long ball into that channel for Jesus to chase, but it's hooked clear by Pascal Strack. Differing non-Premier League objectives for these two teams in the weeks to come. Forest were dumped out of the FA Cup by Wrexham, but they have got a Europa League last 16 playoff double-header against Fenerbahce coming up. Leeds did progress into the fourth round of the FA Cup. They beat Derby away from home last month. And they head off to another championship side on the 15th of February. Farke's team on the road at St Andrews against Birmingham City. Here is James Justin. Space to storm forward away down the right hand side. Nice little square in field for Gruev. Work to Okafor. Can he get a shot away on the edge of the box? Deflected force for Justin. And it's Anderson back in position there. Again, Bogle and Justin causing problems down that right-hand side. First chance for Justin, then for Bogle. And another ball held back into the box and turned home by Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's his 10th Premier League goal of the season. Double figures for Dom. And 3 for Leeds. And 4 minutes into the second half. 3 goals should mean 3 points. It's not the prettiest of finishes by any stretch from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But as that initial chance for Bogle is cleared away, Anderson just couldn't get enough distance on it. And it's turned back in Leeds' favour here. And Gruev just tries to float it into a dangerous area. And Calvert-Lewin flings himself at it, comes off his chest in the end. 6 yards out. That is one of the most unorthodox goals of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's Premier League career. He won't mind one bit. And I can recycle that stat from the first half. He only scored 9 Premier League goals under Sean Dyche at Everton. He's now got 10 in just over half a season here at Leeds. We're seeing the best we've seen of Calvert-Lewin in some time. And the Leeds United fans are loving him. Dyche's expression on the sidelines told the story of his frustration there. Leeds back in possession from the restart. Aronson chases Ola Aina back into his own half. Long ball tossed forward. Justin will get back on duty there. Manages to see that behind for a goal kick. So we can point you in the direction of a busy Premier League weekend here on Flashscore if you're joining us across the board. We've got 7 matches in the English top flight tomorrow. The early kick-off, Michael Carrick's Manchester United are home to Tottenham. That's a 12:30 start. And then 6 3 p.m. games. Bournemouth at home to Aston Villa. Mikel Arteta's tabletop-in Arsenal take on Sunderland. Relegation ding-dong at Turf Moor. Burnley against West Ham. Fulham host Everton. And Liam Rosenior takes his Chelsea side to rock-bottom Wolves before the 5:30 game up at St James's Park. Brentford on the road as Keith Andrews looks to keep his form going on Tyneside. Clearance by Darlow up to halfway. Jesus can't gather that in front of Pascal Strack. Okafor will take over though inside the centre circle. Leeds, confidence flowing through them here now. Okafor with the ping over towards Gudmundsson. Abbott will lead the press. He just can't quite find a crossing angle, but it will fall nicely here for Aronson. Ampadu. Again, Gudmundsson on that left-hand side. Just managed to get a cross in this time, but it's Hudson-Odoi that gets it away. Sean Dyche has now turned to his bench, so changes incoming, you would imagine. Possibly looking to just preserve certain players. It's a full round of midweek games in the Premier League. Forest are home to Wolves on Wednesday night. That is an absolute must-win to keep themselves in the hunt. Leeds go to Chelsea the night before. But as it stands, Daniel Farke's side have built up a healthy lead above the drop zone. 9 points over West Ham. If they fail to get anything against Burnley tomorrow, that will give the Leeds faithful here at Elland Road massive confidence that they might have already done enough to avoid a relegation battle. 30 points, probably enough this season to avoid any late relegation drama. A long searching ball forward from Milenkovic, and decisive goalkeeping there from Karl Darlow. Sprints out of his box to beat Hudson-Odoi to it. Throw in for Forest. Gibbs White is tossed to the floor there by Ampadu. And Anderson comes in strong on Aronson. A free kick in Leeds United's favour. So first change of the night. That's a double alteration for Sean Dyche. Lorenzo Luca replacing Igor Jesus through the middle of Forest attack. And Amari Hutchinson is the second change for the visitors. He'll come on for Nico Dominguez. 10 minutes into the second period. It's gone from bad to worse for Sean Dyche here. Calvert-Lewin's 10th league goal of the campaign means that it is Leeds United 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Luca and Hutchinson on. Jesus and Dominguez off. Long ball there from Ortega. Calvert-Lewin just misjudges the flight of it, and Milenkovic and Abbott will see it back for Stefan Ortega. Cleared up towards the halfway line. That's the first touch for Lorenzo Luca. He tries to bring Hudson-Odoi into play, but offside flag is up over on that far side. Not the introduction that he would have wanted. Lorenzo Luca. He's only joined in the final week of January on a initial loan deal from Napoli. The option is in place to buy him, and he's got 35 minutes here to possibly push his case. Even at this early stage, Sean Dyche is demanding. He'll want to be impressed. Floated up towards the halfway line, helped on by Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Breaking behind here as Jayden Bogle is stormed down that right hand side for the umpteenth time this evening. Sangare tries to play his way out of trouble there. He's challenged by Ampadu. Aronson's gone straight over to the referee. He's claiming that he was clipped by Milenkovic before Ampadu then slid in on Sangare. No foul in either direction. It will be just a throw-in for Leeds United. A couple of yards outside Forest penalty. Ampadu will come over to this right-hand side to take. Hurled in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It bounces across. Calvert-Lewin can't quite bring it under his spell. Eventually Ortega will just grab that and get Forest back moving forward. We mentioned before the break just how clinical Leeds had been. There's an exact XG of 2 before the half-time whistle. 3 shots on target, both of them ended up in the back of the net. The Forest, despite having 4 on target in the first 45, an XG of just 0.45. Better chances created and converted by Leeds. We've seen nothing from Forest since the restart. No shots on target, and an XG of flat 0. It's obviously prompted the desire for change from Dyche with Luca and Hutchinson. It's a game that feels like it's already slipped away from the grasp of the men from the East Midlands. 58 minutes gone here. Leeds United 3, Nottingham Forest 0. If you are just joining us for the second half, first goal of the Premier League campaign for Jayden Bogle. Noah Okafor just before the half-an-hour mark, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin making it 10 for the season so far. Probably what has definitively taken the game away from Dyche and his Forest players. Roden forced to pirouette there on the halfway line. Anderson and Gibbs White chasing him down. Because we're eventually to work this forward. Justin linking with Bogle. And Justin is clipped as he stumbles backwards. Elliot Anderson this time the aggressor for Nottingham Forest. No sign of any Leeds changes just yet. Daniel Farke, of course, will be already looking forward that trip to Chelsea, and the confidence gained from the performance and the likely result here tonight will only generate more and more positivity. Nice little play there on halfway. Lovely link up from Roden, Ampadu, Gruev. Not able to quite break the lines there. The Forest get back in position. Aronson is caught from behind by Anderson. No foul, says the referee. We are now over the hour mark. Ball pumped forward for Bogle to give chase with Olaryna. That's an awkward clearance from Aina. Gathered in here by Gruev. Chance for Okafor to wind one up. Rolls it into Calvert-Lewin. He goes down inside the penalty area. He's claiming initially that he was caught by Olaryna. And then as Aina sprints away, he is fouled by Okafor. And finally we have a yellow card. No argument there from Noah Okafor. Tried to just roll that into Calvert-Lewin. He loses out to Aina. And And as Aina tries to lead the break for Forest, absolutely cleaned out by Noah Okafor. Calvert-Lewin back to his feet for Leeds. Gruev just has to lift that up towards the halfway line, but it doesn't stick for Leeds initially. Second ball will break kindly for them. The chase on down that far left-hand side. The cross just whizzes in front of Stefan Ortega. Bogan will keep it alive here, backed up by Justin. Now Aronson. Plugged away all night, Brendan Aronson for Leeds. Trying to get on the ball, trying to create things. And that is a late swipe at him by Ibrahima Sangare. And it will be a card here for the Forest man. They've been nibbling at each other. And Sangare just swings a leg at Aronson there on the sideline. Aronson managing to just step out of danger there. And that is a very, very ill-advised move from Ibrahima Sangare. Just swings a high leg at Aronson. He comes through the back of his knee as well. It certainly seems that Aronson just manages to dip out of the way so that he's not significantly hurt. A card each. And an opportunity here for Eli Gruev to float across right into Nottingham Forest penalty area. 30 yards out, right on this left-hand touchline. Hangs it in deep. It's flicked on, flicked behind in the end for a goal kick. Sangare has actually just gone over to apologise to Brendan Aronson as we reset here. Rolled into the feet of Ola Aina. He'll go long, this time up towards Lorenzo Luca. Pascal Struijk there with a big shout alongside Joe Roden, deals with it. Another collection of Nottingham Forest substitutes that have gone out to warm up. Sean Dyche clearly frustrated with performance of his side. This would have been a game that he'd have looked at and possibly earmarked the opportunity to get something from. Just hasn't been the case. Those clutch moments have belonged to Leeds. Far more ruthless in front of goal, and as a result they're on course for all 3 points here. Corner for the home side. And Lenkovic there just steps across. Gets Leeds back on track on home soil as well. Home has generally been where the heart is. This will be their 6th win from 13 in the league. Forest have only won a third of their away games, but one of them was a big one, that famous victory at Anfield. Corner lofted in, it's a bit of panic in there. And eventually just hacked away. Aronson can't quite turn it back into the penalty area. Gruev has stayed down. He took a kick as Forest eventually just about managed to get that ball away. Gibbs White over the halfway line, needs support, gets it from Hudson-Odoi, who's clipped as he tries to step in field by Goodmanson. The cross just won't quite bounce for Lorenzo Luca. Eventually helped away to the halfway line. Milenkovic sharper there than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Hutchinson will load one in from the right hand side. Luca goes up after it. And again, the Forest substitute is penalised. And we'll get an opportunity to look at that chaos in the Nottingham Forest penalty area that has kept Eli Gruev on the floor. And Strauch at the back post, and then as Stefan Ortega just waves a hand at it, and possibly catches Gruev in the side of the face. The Leeds United medics have been called on here. It was a swinging boot from a Nottingham Forest player alongside Ortega's very unconvincing attempt to punch the ball away from danger. Sean Dyche clearly planning for that home tie with Wolves next week. A double change for him here. Morgan Gibbs-White, the captain, is off. Hands over the armband to Ryan Yates, who'll sprint on for the final stages. Daniel Farke also on. Callum Hudson-Odoi is a player withdrawn there, so all of Forest's starting front four, Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White, Dominguez and Jesus, taken off by Sean Dyche. As Gruev stays down here. And 22 minutes of normal time to go. Gruev is being helped back up to his feet here. A decision on whether that blow to the side of the face requires a possible concussion check is still being looked at here. Are Leeds making the definitive stride needed to get away from relegation danger? Dropped out of the Premier League twice in their history, back in 2004 under Eddie Gray. That led to almost 2 decades out of the big time. Slipped down again in 2023. Sam Allardyce at the helm for the final few weeks and months of that particular season. But as we mentioned, the last 2 campaigns, 26 or 27 points have been enough to secure survival. We're on to 29 now. Anything from 30 to 32, 33 should be more than enough to make sure they're not caught by even an incredible run of form from West Ham. Forest, of course, relegated 3 times, but all in the 1990s. They slipped down at the end of the first ever Premier League campaign in 1992-93, and again in 97 and 99. And their place is firmly in danger, and it's been a real change from last season, of course. Landed in 7th, 65 points under the tutelage of Nuno Espirito Santo. But they have been here before since returning to the Premier League, 2023 and 2024. They only finished 16th and 17th. Dyche, of course, is a very wily operator to have at the helm in a relegation battle. Pascal Gruev here does not look as if he'll be allowed to continue the extensive checks that they are going through here to assess whether or not he's okay. My hunch would be it's not a risk worth taking, and obviously, as we've seen, concussion protocols become a bit more sophisticated and forcefully implemented. Advice from medics and doctors is generally heeded by managers these days. Dan James is one of the players that's been sent out to warm up, and because of a bloodied nose, Gruev will have to change shirts at least before the decision is made on whether or not he can carry on. Leeds, as it stands, for the final 18 minutes are down to 10. Gruev might come back on for a few minutes here, allow Farke to make his call. Aronson again taking another whack. It's Ryan Yates this time as he tries to hammer a clearance there, and only manages to put his laces through the side of Brendan Aronson. He'll be grateful to get a hot bath or a hot shower at the end of this one, Brendan Aronson. Gruev is back on. I might have been too hasty in my assessment that I didn't think he would be okay. Certainly for the time being. The Bulgarian goes back into Leeds' midfield. As Ryan Yates tries to squeeze a shot off on the edge of Leeds' penalty area. Roden goes to the ground. And that'll be a corner for Forest over on that far right-hand side. Milenkovic and Morato both forward for this. Hung into that 6-yard box. And will just spin all the way through, but it's come back off the opposing corner flag. Amari Hutchinson's delivery. It's Ndoye who'll keep it alive and he'll win another corner off James Justin. Two substitutes there accidentally combining for Nottingham Forest. Hutchinson's delivery, not able to find a red head. And then Ndoye wins another set piece, but young Zach Abbott has dropped with a bit of cramp inside the 6-yard box here. Helped out by Morato. A decent performance from him all round. A shaky first 5 or 10 minutes, and since then he's coped with the threat of Okafor quite well. Anderson to take for Forest. Far post again. Flick behind again for another Forest corner. Roden just getting enough on that in front of Sangare. Hutchinson will try once more. There's near post this time. It's flicked across. And Anderson arriving there, just tried to keep it alive. And it's eventually steered over the top by Dan Ndoye. Anderson rather, who's just gambling here around the back post. And eventually it's just prodded back in the direction of Daniel Ndoye. Takes it on first time and lashes it into the stands behind Carl Darlow's goal. It's gratefully received by those Leeds United fans, who are now just 15 minutes away from another win here at Elland Road this season. It was always going to be the telltale factor over whether or not they could avoid possible Premier League relegation. It's nice play from Okafor to keep it alive down the left-hand side for Leeds. Eventually flicked back into the penalty area. And Ndoye almost got himself in a spot of bother there. It's closed down by Ilai Gruev, who is back to full power here for Leeds. Goal kick for Nottingham Forest. And the young man Abbott will be replaced here for the final. 13 minutes of the game. It's Luca Netz that's thrown on. That's Dyche's fifth and final change of the game. Summer signing from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Sometimes in this type of situation you just have to accept your fate. If you can get some young players on, get some experience into their legs, it's not a wasted task. And first Premier League appearance for Nets, as Elliot Anderson floats a free kick from halfway into the Leeds penalty area, but again Forest not able to get a telling contact on it in there. Anderson will keep it moving though for Ndoye down this left hand side. He's got Bogle backing off, and it float that in towards the far post, and it's Morato who flung himself at it. Bogle there, not keen to engage with Daniel Ndoye. Floats that in right onto the head of Morato. He can't quite get a contact on it. Possibly Lorenzo Luca getting in his way. It's been that kind of night for the visitors. And there'll be a real cheer here for Leeds United's first change of the night, Brendan Aronson. Leeds fans have taken him to their hearts in recent months. No goal for him tonight, but he's been right at the heart of everything good about Leeds going forward. And he claps the fans as he heads off, caked in mud. He's been sliding around all night. And Daniel James will come on here in front of his national team boss, Craig Bellamy. That's to see out the final throws for Daniel Farke. Should also say as well, with that change of Abbott going off, Oleraina has pushed over across to his regular right back position. Netz is at left back. Foul over on the far side there. He's not happy with it, but Forest have got themselves another set piece in a decent crossing position. 35 yards out, right over on that far right hand touchline. Hutchinson will float it in, and that's a poor ball, easily hacked away by Leeds. Netz goes back to Ortega. We've got a Leeds player down there. It's Goodmanson who flung himself at that Ortega clearance and took a whack to the back of the head. That's the objective now for Daniel Farke and the Leeds team. Get to full time with no injuries. The hunch would be that he won't make any changes necessarily for the trip to Stamford Bridge on Tuesday evening. He only made one change tonight, and that was an enforced one. Anton Stack's injury, bringing Okafor back into the team, and the man on the ball now has certainly made an impression. That second goal of the evening, giving Leeds some breathing space before half-time. Dyche has been pretty candid about his opinions on Forest when they've struggled and they've not performed to the level that he demands. Thinking back to that Wrexham FA Cup game, a couple of times in the Europa League as well this season, where he's been very, very straight about his frustration. And they've been caught out here again on halfway. Calvert-Lewin on the turn, feeds it off to Gruev. Dan James with the dart in behind there. Just can't quite get the cross back to the feet of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Milenkovic just shielding Leeds is number 9 on the edge of the 6-yard box there. There will be another Leeds change here, and it is the man that we've just mentioned, Noah Okafor. It's a big high five from one of the other goal scorers, Jayden Bogle. Sean Longstaff will be rolled on here just to add a bit more grit and steel to the Leeds engine room. Calvert-Lewin there just mistimes his jump in front of Morato. Forest get it clear. Luca trying to pick out the run of Daniel Farke down that left channel. I hope that Daniel James has still got a role to play for Leeds United in the final few months of the season. Really unlucky with injuries. Lots of pace, lots of tricks, the former Manchester United man. A different kind of option to Stack and Okafor. Wilfried Gnonto, of course, who's remained seated on the bench so far tonight. Leeds again trying to build down that left-hand side. Calvert-Lewin can't get across his man at the near post. Cleared away by Ola Aina. Wouldn't rule out a fourth goal here for Leeds. They've not really taken a backward step overall. Longstaff chases that one into the left channel. Morato goes with him, and despite Longstaff's appeals for a foul, they have to make do with a throw-in. Morato thought it was a throw-in for Forest, and give the referee a piece of his mind as well. Chance here now again for Leeds to load one into Forest penalty area. Ampadu's come across from central midfield to the left hand side to take. And the Leeds United fans behind him there watch on patiently, headed away at the near post. Not one of Ampadu's better efforts, and neither was that one as he swipes it back across field. Longstaff can't quite get a contact on it. Eventually, Ndoye just presses Longstaff back into his own half, and Leeds will reset here with Pascal Struijk. Sean Dyche, his hands dug deep into his pockets. Be very curious to hear his post-match analysis of this game. A manager who requires a certain level of effort and engagement from his players, and hasn't quite been there tonight, certainly in an attacking perspective. Leeds really resolute in defence, and the chances have fallen their way. They've taken them, really punished some slack Forest defending. You think back to that opportunity that was converted by Jayden Bogle. But there's still life in Forest here. Hutchinson digs in off that right-hand side and floats across in. And it's nodded home for a first goal in English football for Lorenzo Luca. And that is a bright spark for Forest to take away from this one. Towers above Roden there, 8 yards out. Lovely flight on that ball from Omari Hutchinson. And Luca does exactly what you expect him to do. Big, commanding striker. Gets across Roden. The goal appreciated by his manager on the sidelines. The type of finish we've come to expect from Nottingham Forest strikers. Thinking back to Chris Wood, who's currently sidelined with injury, of course. And that gives the Forest fans something to hang on to as they head back down to the Midlands tonight. And Luca, who's fallen foul of the officials a couple of times, caught offside 3 times by my count. And that ball is just lofted in there by Hutchinson. Attacks it, real vigour in front of Roden. Darlow will be frustrated to lose his clean sheet as well. Just 2 more minutes of regular time to go. And Forest fans have generally stayed. There's only a couple of little pockets in that away end. A bit of walkout from them. They know that tonight won't define their fight against Premier League relegation. It's a result, arguably, that benefits West Ham the most. A really good recovery there from Jayden Bogle, who gets back in position. Concedes another corner, though. That Forest left-hand side. Doy trying to charge in behind him. Wolves away at Burnley tomorrow. That result will have another significant impact on the fight for top flight survival. Floated into the far post, flicked away by Roden, only as far as Hutchinson, stuck over on that far right-hand touchline. Rolled here for Ola Aina. Cannoned miles over the top of Carl Darlow's crossbar. 6 points as it stands between West Ham and Nottingham Forest, with the game in hand for the Hammers and for the Clarets tomorrow. Draw for either of those teams doesn't really change their overall position, just allows Forest to breathe a bit of a sigh of relief ahead of hosting Wolves in midweek. If they win that, certainly beg the question of how do West Ham dig themselves out of this particular hole. Wolves expected to go down just 8 points. Their target is, of course, not to finish below Derby's record low of 11. Fancy Rob Edwards' side to manage that. There's been some signs of life from them in the last couple of weeks. Forest not out of danger at all with Sean Dyche. Ampadu as well there, just to get himself between man and ball and allow that bouncing ball to bounce back to his goalkeeper Carl Darlow. We tick over the 90-minute mark here. Sean Dyche, who's always a keen timekeeper, asking the question of how long will be added on. And that is not what I think any of us were expecting. 9 minutes additional time. And that does change the complexion of things, because you never know. I can only put that down to the lengthy stoppage we had following Ilai Gruev being caught by Ortega. But that goal from Luca, and 9 minutes, will have some sections of that Forest support over in the far corner believing once again. Here is Longstaff. Fresh legs there to get away from Sangari over the halfway line, but it's a poor ball for Dan James. Aina will see that out for a throw-in for Forest. Ortega to the feet of Morato. Powers that up to the halfway line towards Lorenzo Luca, dealt with by Joe Rodon. Leeds just need to keep their heads here. Plenty of experience there, particularly in the back line. Justin, Bogle, Rodon, Strauch. And simply by the lofting of the fourth officials board, you can sense a slight change in the air, just a upping of the nerves for Leeds United. And Longstaff goes careering into the back of Ryan Yates there, right on halfway. Free kick taken short by Elliot Anderson. And take it back here, just left of centre, and try and float one up towards the edge of Leeds' penalty. Gruev goes up with Calvert-Lewin. Hutchinson will pick up the loose ball in front of the corner flag. Dan James had a little nibble there. Hutchinson's cross, though, is hacked away. Calvert-Lewin back there on defensive duty for Leeds United. Ortega this time with the lofted ball forward. Luca, the target, knocked down. And he cleared as far away as Elliot Anderson. He'll work it to Daniel Ndoye, just in off this left-hand side. And that's another sloppy foul given away by Leeds United. Jaden Bogle putting hands on Ndoye. Anderson quick to get on with it though. And steps away from Longstaff, the two number 8s there. Anderson wins out this time. Attempted cross though will fall back here for Luca Netz. Blocked away again by Jaden Bogle. He looks out on his feet, the Leeds United man. Only 3 minutes of those 9 added on played, so a bit more defending for Leeds United to do here. And you have to deal with an Ola Aina throw-in, which will just bounce behind. Ryan Yates just trying to get a flick on that one to give Leeds a problem to deal with. Rodon here, just looking to organise the players around him. To withstand a bit more Forest pressure to get the job done, get over the line. The rain starts to lash down once more. It's certainly not had a negative impact on the Leeds fans. They've been in full voice all night. Daniel Farke is readying another change here as we hit the halfway point in those 9 added minutes. We'll have to wait though to try and get Sebastian Bornau on. Defensive change, the Belgian will go right into the penalty area and just try and help that Leeds rearguard effort. Hutchinson again, 1v1 up against Gudmundsson, does manage to get a ball in. Luca attacked, it'll fall here for Nets. They turn behind for what initially looked like a Nottingham Forest corner. It's Rodon who threw himself at that low ball back across the face from Luca Nets. Ndoye certainly thought that was a corner. And it is Bogle who'll be given the final few minutes off. You can see the exhaustion there after he blocked that cross just a few moments ago. But he's got his first Premier League goal of the season. Feels like a long, long time ago now. 26 minutes gone. A long ball forward from Ilya Gruev, and Showed real awareness just to dart in behind off the shoulder of Milenkovic. Okafor with the quick-fire double, and Forest have never really recovered from that one. Calvert-Lewin's 10th Premier League goal of the campaign. And then another first top-flight goal of the season. Lorenzo Luca. It certainly now looks to just be a consolation for Sean Dyche and his players. Anderson with the take on halfway. So one of the few Forest players tonight, Elliot Anderson, that has still had a fairly solid performance. Not been able to influence things too much from an attacking perspective, but just at the anchor of that Nottingham Forest midfield, he's done his job. Players further forward, really, that will be facing some questions from Sean Dyche in the next couple of days. Here is Luca Netz, forward again from left back. Arcs that cross in towards the penalty. Pascal Struijk is back there again for Leeds. Cleared away only as far as Sengare. Anderson. Netz on to Ndoye. Wants to go 1v1 here on James Justin. Curls it in towards Luca. He's trying to swing a volley back towards goal. Aina's drive is deflected. And the final touch comes off a Forest player. And that will be a goal kick for Carl Darlow. Beyond 97.